Okay, yesterday we talked about rational numbers and classifying the categories of rational numbers, and we learned that integers is a subcategory of the rational number system. So what we want to do is we now want to review some math operations using integers because we're going to take these rules that you learned last year in sixth grade. We're going to take those rules for adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers, and we're going to take those rules and apply them to rational numbers, which means we're going to learn how to do adding and subtracting with positive and negative fractions and positive and negative decimals. But first, we want to review the rules for integers, which are just whole numbers, positive and negative whole numbers. All right, so for example, we're going to look at this problem. It says solve the following. So we have 5 plus negative 9. So what does that equal? Well, we're probably not sure at this point. So what we can do is we need to look at this statement right here. What do you remember that you learned last year? What did you remember that can help you solve this problem? Do you remember the rules or do you remember the hint? So the hint is right here where it says rap song. Okay. If you remember, hopefully you remember, last year the rap song was played for you and it gives you the rules for adding and subtracting integers. So let's listen to that real quick. Okay, so with that rap song, you actually learned some rules for adding positive and negative integers. So those rules can be called algorithms. So integers can also be added and subtracted using an algorithm. algorithm, algorithm, which is just a fancy word for a set of rules. So if we want to look at those set of rules, we can look at adding and subtracting. So if we look at the rules, adding is up here and subtracting is down here. So if we interpret the rules correctly from the song, if the two values have the same sign, then we're going to add, sorry about this, add and keep the same sign. So that would mean if my signs of two numbers are the same, so a positive and a positive, they're the same, so my answer is going to be positive. So we add them together. 6 plus 5 is 11, and then we keep the positive sign. But what happens if they're both negative? A negative plus a negative equals a negative, because we know that if they have the same sign, we add the two numbers together. So we add 6 and 5 together, and we get 11, and then we keep the sign negative because they're both negative. Okay? Now, if the signs are different, what do we do? If they're different, then we subtract the numbers, and take the sign of the number with the greatest absolute value. So for example, 6 plus negative 5. We take 6 minus 5, that equals 1. And then we look at which number has the greatest value. 6 is greater than 5, so we're going to keep the positive sign. So that gives me positive 1. Now, if we're going to do subtracting integers, this was also in the song. If we subtract with positive and negative integers, what we're actually doing is we're rewriting the problem to add the opposite of a number. And then once we make those changes, we follow the rules for adding integers. So what we're doing is we're changing subtraction to addition and then following these rules up here. Okay, but we're getting all sorts of words up here and it gets kind of confusing. So what I want to do is I want to teach you maybe a simpler way to remember the rules, okay? So an easier way to remember these rules is to create a T-chart based on the lyrics from the rap song. And this T-chart is going to help you remember the steps so that you can solve problems for adding or subtracting positive and negative integers. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to listen to the song again, okay, and we're going to write down the lyrics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat it for you and repeat what he says. He says, same signs add, different signs subtract, same sign keep the sign, different keep the larger. Okay, and you should remember those lyrics from last year. So if we want to look at subtraction from the song, it says keep the first number, then change the add sign to a plus sign. Whoops, I'm sorry, I need to change that. it's changed the minus sign. So it's changed the minus sign to a plus sign. Then second number, you change it to its opposite. Now, once you do that, we've just changed minus or subtraction to addition. So now what we have to do is we have to follow the addition rules because we just changed it from subtraction to addition. So now we come back over here and we follow these rules right here. So you should be singing to yourself, same signs add, different signs subtract, same sign keep the sign, different keep the larger. Okay, so if we use those lyrics to create a simple T-chart to help us remember how to solve addition and subtraction of integers, it'll make our lives so much easier. So what I want to do first is just look at the lyrics that he told us for just addition. And if you remember back here, that's this section right here. So same sign add, different sign subtract, same sign keep the sign, different keep the larger. So if you notice, I have one word filled out in each one of these. Those are the words that we're going to use in our T-chart to help us remember the words. Okay, so I mean the rules, excuse me. So let's sing the song again. So same signs what? Add, different signs subtract, same sign keep the sign, different keep the larger. Okay, now when we do this adding and the subtracting, remember we're using the absolute values of those numbers. Okay, so again, same signs add, different signs subtract, same sign keep the sign, different keep the larger. So then all we have to do is let's put those rules into a T-chart. And we're only going to be talking about addition here. So we're going to say we have to figure out if the signs are the same first. So are they the same or different? We got to find out what the signs of the numbers are. So are they the same or different? So now we can sing the song. So we're going to say same sign, add, different sign, subtract, same sign, keep the sign, different, keep the larger. And that's it. That's all you have to remember in this T-chart. So we have same sign, add, different sign, subtract, same sign, keep the sign, different, keep the larger. Now what this is doing it is breaking these problems up into 3 steps. This row is 1 step, this row is the 2nd step, and this row is the 3rd step. So this row right here in my T-table tells me what kind of signs I have. Are they both positive? Are they both negative? Or are they positive and negative or negative and positive? So are the signs the same or are they different? Then, depending upon what the signs of the numbers are, you're going to come down here and it's going to tell you what operation you're going to use to calculate your answer. So you're either going to add or you're going to subtract. So if they have the same signs, we're going to add. If they're the different signs, we're going to subtract. And then step number 3 tells us how to find the sign of the final answer. Okay, but it's that simple. Just sing the song and do your T-table. This column tells you what to do when they're the same, and this column tells you what to do when the signs of the numbers are different. So same sign, add, different sign, subtract, same sign, keep the sign, different, keep the larger. You think you could do some problems like that? We always want to make sure we go back and write this T-table down, and it'll help us with solutions. So here's an example, a nicely printed out T-table. Now remember, T-chart. Step 1 tells us how to find out the numbers have the same or different signs. That's what we have to do first. We have to find out if the numbers have same or different signs. And then step 2 tells us what operation we're going to perform to calculate our final answer. And then step 3 tells us how to determine the sign of the final answer. So this is just a more formal version. But again, same sign, add, different sign, subtract, same sign, keep the sign, different, keep the larger. So let's go through a couple of examples. We're going to go to our guided practice page in our notes. And we're going to get some practice solving addition. Now remember, we're just talking about addition. We'll learn subtraction tomorrow. We're going to do adding integers. And we're going to look at these numbers down here in these tables. Now I'm not going to do all of them. I'll do several of them. So let's look at the first one. Okay, now remember, we want to do our T-table. It's going to be kind of hard because I don't have enough room here, but if we do our T-chart, we know that this is same. I can't get it to write, sorry. This is same, and this is different. And if we sing the song, same sign, we want to add, different, we want to subtract, same sign, we're going to what? Keep the sign, different, we're going to keep the larger. All right, so let's look at this problem right here. So let's say -11 plus 5. So the first step is to find out, do they have same or different signs? So if I come over here, this one's negative, this one's positive. So they have different signs. So now I'm going to go down to the next step in this column because they're different. So this tells me that I have to subtract those two numbers. So what is 11 minus 5? 11 minus 5 equals 6. So 6 is part of my final answer, but now I got to come back here and I got to figure out what is the sign of my final answer. So if the signs of the two numbers are different, I have to keep the sign of the larger number. Well, which one of these is the largest absolute value? Which one is farthest away from 0? Well, 11 units is greater than 5 units, so we're going to keep the sign that's attached to the 11. So that means this is a -6. So that would be our final answer. So how about this one? We have -6 plus +8. I can't get the cursor in the right spot. So let's look over here. Do we have same or different signs? Well, these are both the same, so they're both negative. So we're going to come down here to over here to this column, and we're going to look down this column, and it tells me what we need to do. We're going to add the two numbers together, and then we're going to what? keep the sign that both of those numbers have. So I'm going to add 6 plus 8, and that equals what? That equals 14. And then my t-table tells me what sign to keep. I keep the same sign. Both of them are negative, so that means my answer has to be negative 14. Okay, so let's look at, let's look at this one right here. We have negative 7 plus positive 12. Again, the first step is to decide, do they have the same number, same sign or different sign? So I come down here and I see one is negative and one is positive. So that means they have different signs. So I'm going to follow this column. So now I'm going to subtract the two numbers. And we're going to say 12 minus 7 equals 5. And then I have to come back here. So I did my subtraction, and since they're different signs, I need to keep the sign of the larger absolute value. So which one of these is farthest from 0? Because absolute value is the distance from 0. So 7 units from 0, away from 0 on the number line, or 12 units? Which one is greater? This one is. So that means my answer has to be positive. So we know it's 5. We keep the sign of the larger number, so that means it has to be positive. Okay, I hope that gives you a couple more examples. We can look at one more real quick. We have negative 9 plus 6. The signs are different, so I just simply subtract the two numbers, and that gives me 3, and then I'm going to keep the sign of the number that's the largest. So we have 9 and 6. 9 is larger than 6, so that means my answer is negative 3. Okay. So what you're going to do for your homework is you're going to figure these out yourself. Now don't forget, you want to use the t-table, so set it up every time, the t-chart. Every time you do this, you should set up your t-chart. So we're going to say, do they have the same or different signs? And then sing the song. Then sing the song. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what this is doing. So same sign. We're going to add different signs, subtract. And then same sign, keep the sign. Sorry, my writing is terrible with this mouse. And then different signs, keep the larger. Okay, so then you find out what the signs are. If they're the same, you follow the steps underneath. If the signs are different, you follow these steps underneath here. So good luck with this lesson. Thank you.